to tell us about yourself, and the position that you're running for, why you're running for it. Help us get to know you a little bit.
Okay, I'm Albert Schreiber, and I was asked to run for the at-large position number 6 for the North County Regional Fire Authority, which is currently held by Larry Longley, who has served 12 years on the board and past chairman and vice chairman. And so I served 3 terms been elected 3 times to the San Camino School Board. When I was in Whatcom County, I served as a county planning commissioner. And all the public service that I've done, I haven't received a penny of salary or stipend or any kind of pay for it. It's giving back to the community. I'm not a paid politician like some of the others are. And I retired from 36 years in public safety. When I was on the Stanwood Camano School Board, we built all the new high school and alternative schools and everything without any increase in tax rates. And I think that came out pretty well. It was well done. The timing was good. I've been a volunteer with North County Fire EMS for several years. I do amateur radio, so I've been involved in the emergency communications with the CERT team, which is the Community Emergency Response Team, which is very instrumental in training people to take care of themselves, their families, and their communities. Because if we have an earthquake or a major disaster, 911 is not going to answer. They're not going to be able to get to you. So that's where Chief Cermak and North County Fire has helped develop this community emergency response team. So I've been involved in that. I was one of the first group to go through the training on that. And I also am a volunteer that does the resupply to the stations. So some of our volunteers, we go up and we pick up the big totes and deliver them to all the different stations, which gets us around. So we've seen all of the stations, and we'll take oxygen, first aid supplies, peanut butter for the kitchen. But that frees up the professionals, the EMTs and firefighters, to really concentrate on what they need to be doing. So we've been blessed to be able to do that for the North County Fire. So
very nice.
I was a member, I am a member of the International Critical Incident Stress Foundation. I was one of the Intel teams in Centennial Park during the Atlanta Summer Olympics. I did the Salt Lake City Winter Olympics, about 7 presidential campaigns, the 2000 Democratic National Conference, the convention in LA, the World Trade Organization in Seattle. I did the protective air intelligence for that. Lifetime member of National Ski Patrol. I joined that when I was in Alaska. So doing a lot of rescues on the mountain in that. My son and I, both of us are Eagle Scouts, are certified in wilderness and remote first aid. And I learned that both the current chairman, Rob Johnson, is an Eagle Scout, and Larry Longley is an Eagle Scout. So we have a lot of Eagles on our board. I did my master's at Willamette University in Salem, Oregon. I did my internship with the State of Oregon Executive Department in the Budget Management Division. And I studied both public administration and business administration. So I have kind of both sides of that. And member of American Legion here. So, and a few other things.
Wonderful. It sounds like you have a lot of experience with various things that would be very, very important as a commissioner.
Yeah, when the Lights of Christmas started at Warm Beach Camp, I was doing the law enforcement conference there, and they asked us to help with security, traffic, parking, all that kind of thing. And so we are 26th year, and I'm still doing it. And
that's wonderful.
We have a camp nurse, a camp EMT, the explorers from the fire department, the EMTs from the fire department that would come on campus with their gator and their ambulance. And we had up to 4 deputies assigned to us, and our security teams, and I oversaw all of that for a number of years. So.
Wow. Well, that's wonderful. So you're running, is there someone running against you?
Yes, Deborah Nelson, who was appointed to the city council in Arlington by her friend Barb. And then Barb appointed herself and her friend Deborah to the fire commission, to a temporary seat on the transition board. And now she's trying to run for a seat, for Larry's seat, but her signs were a little misleading, and Larry wrote a nice letter to the newspapers, which I can give you a copy of. But her signs are saying re-elect, which is not legal to do if you have not been elected to the position. And it says re-elect.
I see.
You know, at-large position 6. Well, Larry is in position 6. He's never had any of the at-large. There's 2 at-large seats, Rob Johnson and I. She's never been elected to anything in the North County Fire, but she's saying re-elect me, and so she's in trouble with the Public Disclosure Commission for that. And so
okay. So, and I asked that because I just talked to Rob yesterday, and he had mentioned there's a few different, you know, people within the commission who are running right now, and usually it's more staggered, but this time there's a few, and so I was trying to organize in my mind where each person goes, if you were running against Rob and all of that. So,
well, right now there's the mayor and 2 of the Arlington City Council members on the commission.
And that was since the merger, I would imagine.
Right.
Okay.
And now they're trying to actually take 4 of the 7 seats and have them majority. And they kind of indicated a desire to put more resources close to their homes and leave more of the rural area either unmanned or understaffed. And that sets their ratings down, which increases their insurance premium. And I think our chief has done a good job in trying to raise this ratings for all of the areas. There's one I think that they haven't yet, but they're still working on that to lower their premium. So I think our chief has done a good job. My opponent kind of has a reputation for being anti-fire, anti-police, the people I talk to. And he has didn't vote in favor of the 18 new EMTs, firefighters that we've hired. She didn't vote in favor of the new training center that we built north of town there, which is a great thing, not only for training North County people, but it'll provide a positive cash flow here in the future as more people in the county utilize that beautiful facility out there.
Right. Okay. And so what are your kind of key components that you hope to sort of bring to the commission?
Okay. My experience of 36 years or more in public safety, my education, my background, my involvement already with North County Fire EMS here, and my knowledge of all the stations and that. And I'm a big believer in the revitalization that Larry Longley has. Boy, when he first heard about that, he went all for it. And all these rural areas and bring them together because there's a lot of efficiencies there, and they can be more effective and cost effective for the taxpayers. And they haven't needed to raise tax rates, and they've been able to do all of this and build the training center. And I know the school district, we gave them some of the portables that they have up there. And so.
Wonderful. Well, great. And it sounds like you are retired law enforcement as well, correct?
Correct. Yeah. 36 years.
So you have that component of both sides of emergency response, which I think is important, especially in this day and age. I think, so I'm a social worker by education. So I often work with folks in fire and police world. And so legislative situations recently have caused a lot more overlap, I feel like, between police and fire. So,
and my interest in public safety goes back to when I was a teenager in high school, when I started working with the Central Bucks Ambulance and Rescue Unit. And that's where I got my first interest in it. And I just seen that, through scouting, being a merit badge counselor for emergency service, and doing all the wilderness and remote first aid, which is required when troops go beyond 3 hours from emergency critical care. So.
Wow. Okay. So lots of good experience. And how long have you been in the Stanwood sort of Arlington area?
Well, we came back here in 2012 when I retired. My last assignment was at the Federal Law Enforcement Training and teaching at the International Law Enforcement Academy. So I traveled around the country and the world and done that. Wow. And this was kind of home. I actually proposed to my wife at the Lights of Christmas. here in
Oh,
Newport Beach on the draft horse wagon ride. So we thought, what a great place to raise our triplets is. So they went to a camp there for many years, and now they're working over there. So
oh, that's wonderful. Great, like full story or full circle kind of story
yeah,
for you and your family. That's wonderful. I think it's also a really key component when we think about, who are the folks that are representing us as taxpayers and community members of, who are these people at their core too. I always say that you can get to know somebody, but what you have to know them on a lot of different levels in order to like fully trust them. And so it's nice to hear the human side of each candidate. And so it's a great way to get to know you better too. So I love that.
I think integrity is very important, and that's why on my website at alschreiber.org, that's experience and integrity are the two things I talk about. Because if someone is dishonest in the little things, how can anybody trust them with the bigger things? And
Exactly. Yeah,
they
very
can say
important.
the right thing on what the people write for them in the voter guide, but their actions don't match what they say, and there's no integrity. So
Right. And that is hard in this day and age when voting has become less important to some folks. And if some people do opt to vote, then they're going to look at that pamphlet, right, and get the information. Oh, this person said this. Okay, great. And then they're going to cast their vote. But what we want people to do, right, is look a little bit deeper into that.
yeah, because we don't have investigative journalists anymore that you can find.
Right.
It's even hard to find a journalist nowadays. But
Exactly.
I know in Rob's situation, his opponent, Steve, is actually married to Holly Sloan Buchanan, who is running for Barb's seat unopposed. So she's going to be on the commission. If Steve were to get elected, you'd have husband and wife on there, but nobody knew that. Somebody caught the fact that they used the same address on their county filings, and they did a little deeper. They found the actual marriage application, the marriage certificate, but they've never admitted that, we're husband and wife. And then if you dig a little deeper, you find when the mayor's salary went from $2,250 up to $8,000 and some dollars a month. Steve was on the Citizens Salary Commission there, and then Holly got on in April, and then in June, we see this new increase of salaries for the mayor and that. So it's interesting when you dig, but voters would have to do a lot of work, unless somebody gets the word out there like a newspaper. So, and that's why I think Larry wrote the nice letters that he did to the newspapers that I have on my website, copies of that.
Right. Yes. I pulled it up. I was checking out your website too, and just kind of taking a peek at all of your endorsements and supporters. So we'll definitely make sure to put the link to your website on your video too. But I think that's really important to highlight those key components that people often don't dive deeper into. So thanks for doing that work for folks.
More of the commissioners as endorsements, but I just got a couple key ones who were the chairman and that, and cut it off there. But if you ask any of the chairman there, and I refrain from putting names of the police officers or the firefighters on because they're kind of afraid that, hey, the boss might.
Right. Yes.
You work in the city of Arlington. You want to be careful.
Right. Yeah, totally. Well, good. What is your kind of your passion within North County, would you say? Like, is it like training or, something specific, some specific program that you really get excited about?
Well, training has always been an important part of my life. Training at teaching the last 9 years at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, the International Law Enforcement Training Center. Used to be the Blue Lightning Coordinator for U.S. Customs, in training state, local, and other federal agencies, training with Scouts and other things. And I still train because I work with 911 driving school, which is all police officers that trains our teenagers how to drive, because the police are the ones that write the tickets, clean up the accidents. And our goal is to make the young people collision free and ticket free for their lifetime. And so I train the police officers how to teach kids, and I do that for a number of the 911 driving schools. I still, in my spare time today, I was teaching high school, at not my high school where I'm on the board, but at a neighboring district and helping out there.
Very nice. That sounds like very rewarding work.
It's great. Yeah.
Yes, I also love education and training and things like that. Have you spent a good amount of time at the new training facility?
Not a whole lot yet. They've got a class going on out there now, and I think 5 or 6 are probably from North County, and the other out of the 50 or whatever are from other areas around the county. So that's great that not only can we train our own people, but we are training others, which are going to provide that positive cash flow for us. But it used to be very difficult to find a slot to send the new firefighter to training. So that's when the chief decided, well, why don't we just build our own academy here? And
right.
It's been great. One of the things I got to do with another special agent was to develop, I was sent over with him to Hanford Nuclear in the eastern part of the state when we were developing the nuclear detection system for U.S. Customs. And we piloted that at Blaine at the border there in the truck crossing, and now you see it in every lane there and all over the place. I mean, even in the bridges and tunnels in DC and New York, they have all of that equipment too. So
that's wonderful.
Work on that.
Definitely. It sounds like a lot of development and implementation, and then also being able to see the follow through of a lot of different programs that you've been involved with.
Yeah. And back in the 90s, I got involved with Bob Vernon, who was the assistant chief of Los Angeles Police Department. He had 10,000 officers under him. And I went with him to Outer Mongolia shortly after the Russians pulled out of the country. And we trained the national police over there and spent time in former Soviet republics, even in Russia, and a lot in Africa, in Kenya and Uganda for about a month, training the national police at the senior level there. We trained the parliament members and the not only the police but the military, because they're kind of one and the same. We just changed uniforms back and forth. And, that's Point Man Leadership Institute, which I've been involved with since back in the 90s when I first went to Outer Mongolia.
So does it? Am I correct in thinking that some of these really great, probably lifelong connections now that you've had with these folks would be something that would in turn benefit this new training facility?
I think the contacts that would benefit the training facility are more local with law enforcement and firefighters around here. I understand they're talking about a new police academy up in Skagit County, so they don't have to go south anymore. Because I know one of the Arlington officers that just came out of the academy and started working in Arlington.
Yeah. Yes, that would be nice to have one closer, because that is quite the drive.
Yeah.
Even more so for the East Siders, but feels like just as much when you're in traffic over here. So, well, great.
That's also why I'm so excited about the CERT program too. Just training our own neighbors and friends and citizens in the community. So when something major happens, we're better prepared for it.
Right.
This Thursday, they're doing one at Station 99 in Stanwood on winter storms and flooding. And so every month there's a different topic that they do train on.
Wow. And is that something that is in person, or is it also live streamed, or?
It's in person. They can live stream it sometimes. But the actual CERT training, they'll take a weekend or so, a couple weekends, and they'll do it hands-on live at one of the stations. And it's wonderful. It's great training for people.
Yes, definitely. Oftentimes we don't get that unless we, learned it from a loved one or something. So it's great to be able to have that in our community for sure.
Yeah, we're back in scouting, and I still serve as an assistant scoutmaster for what was my son's troop. I serve on the Eagle Scout Board of Review for our district. I serve on the Shooting Sports Committee for the entire council. So I still stay active in scouting, even though my son has turned 18 already.
You're right. Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, that's wonderful. Is there anything that you would like the community to know about you prior to them sort of casting their votes?
Well, just compare the experience, the education, the background, do your homework. You know, just don't take what they put on signs. When I see signs all over the county, I usually don't vote for those people because they're not in people's yards saying, you know, I support this person. They hire people just to go throw them up in any vacant property they find and along the
Yes.
right of way. And it's actually illegal to put those signs in the state right of way. So, and when someone doesn't have a respect, you know, for our laws, whether it's the PDC violations or throwing them, you know, where they place the signs, then I don't vote for those people. And I see
Right.
Steve and Deborah signs together, so the same person is probably throwing those out at the same time. But
Yeah.
they don't mean a whole lot like they used to when, you know, you put them in your yard and let your neighbors know.
Right. Most definitely.
And then I
Well,
asked, you know,
good.
who's, you know, who or what group is behind that? They've got a lot of money, it looks like. Okay, but what's their agenda? So I just encourage the voters to do your homework and talk to your neighbors and friends. Give me a call if you want, or but
But do your homework
yeah,
nonetheless.
yeah,
It's always good advice. I love it. Well, thanks, Al. I really appreciate your time today, and we will get this video up and posted and send you the link.
all right, great, and thank you for what
Okay.
you do.
Of course. Thank you. We'll talk to you later.
Have a great day.